Hello, everyone. I'm Lauren White, and I am here for another episode of our AskARoofer Minisodes. And I am so excited to have Jim here. Jim, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yeah. And we are going to be answering a homeowner question that was submitted to our AskARoofer site. But before we dive in, Jim, why don't you introduce yourself and your role at RoofSmart?
So my name is Jim Singleterry. I am the chief meticulous roofing nerd. I founded the company a little over 15 years ago, and we started with regular roofing. And as time has progressed, we've really broadened our expertise into a lot of specialty things, including rooftop decks.
Amazing. I like your title. Awesome. So, like I said, this is a homeowner question that was submitted to the site, and there's a homeowner in Seattle, which is where you're located, and they want to add PVC interlocking deck tiles, turf, and drainage mats over an IB Deckshield waterproof membrane. What are the biggest concerns they should understand before covering that membrane?
Before you layer things on top of, a roof, you want to make sure that the roof is not going to fail after you've done all that work, and you don't want to bury problems. So one of the challenges with a rooftop deck is it's pretty hard to inspect underneath it. There's a ceiling and, drywall, all that stuff in the way. The easy thing for a homeowner to do is to get a fairly inexpensive moisture meter and do some testing around the joints, like the door frame and underneath in the ceiling, some of those areas. Walls and penetrations and doors tend to be the failure points. So if you're sensing a high moisture reading, you probably don't want to just cover all that up. So that's number one.
Yeah. And what would happen if they did have a high moisture rating? What would kind of that next step be?
Well, that means you've got water snaking in. It could be coming in from the roof membrane itself, or it be coming in from siding, from the railing. There's a lot of possible places, but no matter where it's coming in from, you're gonna have to pull it apart to diagnose that. And step one for a homeowner is just, do I have a problem at all? And you can get a moisture meter for $30. So that one's
Mhm.
easy.
And so when adding furniture or modular deck products to a rooftop deck, how can homeowners protect the membrane from punctures, trapped moisture, and that long-term wear?
So this is, for this particular customer, they wanted to add some interlocking PVC deck tiles, which are, kind of the thing you can get from IKEA. They're cheap and they look pretty good. Those aren't very good for puncture resistance, and they're not very good for airflow, and they're not very good for drainage, but they're low profile, they're cheap, and they look good. So, classic homeowner trap. The best thing to do if you're going to use something like that is to put some sort of a slip sheet down. So, kind of like a coaster. And that could be, scrap PVC membrane. You can just lay that down without adhering it so that it's sort of a sacrificial layer. Um, these products are designed with a bunch of little, what would be the right word? Spikes.
Mhm.
They're basically little spikes on the backside, but they've got them, like 1 per inch. So it sort of spreads out the load unless you put a couch on it, right? You put a couch on it. Now you put 3 people on that couch, and that heavy load, depending on how big your people are, is now spread out to those 4 corners of the couch, which are compressed into one small area on that tile. And, it's a high point load, would be the technical term. Those deck tiles are not made for high point load. They're made to spread load.
Mm.
So a better option would be something like a pedestal system that elevates, and then you have structure across. But that's all more expensive. And so homeowners would rarely do that.
More recommended though for, protecting the longevity of the roof, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are some of the concerns regarding, like, the weight limit? Is that something that homeowners should be considering and maybe reaching out to a contractor to ask about?
It depends, I suppose, if this was put on as a retrofit or if it was built that way. A lot of these applications, the home was built as basically I think of it like a tissue box that's been turned on its side. It's this vertical rectangle with a deck on top. And so the engineering's probably fine for that. Don't put a hot tub on it for sure.
Right.
But furniture and even some, planter boxes and stuff, it's it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
If it's something, it looks like some homeowner hacked together and then sold, um, you might have an engineer look at it.
Well, any other advice for some homeowners who might be considering a rooftop area on their home?
Yeah, just the main thing to consider is that the failure point is usually not in the middle of the roof, it's usually at the edges. But to fix any of it, basically the whole thing has to come apart. So it's a huge mess. So, um, the other big issue to be aware of is condensation. So when you have an exposed walkable membrane, it gets full sun, which maybe doesn't sound good, but it does have a drying action. All summer long, that thing is cooking. And so if you've got moisture kind of trapped underneath, it can kind of cook out.
Mhm.
Once you cover it up and shade it with deck tiles, it never does that again. And so if there's anything that's lacking in terms of either ventilation or condensation control, it tends to get a lot worse after you shade it. So it all comes back to how good the design is in the first place. So a great time to add something like this is when you're replacing the roof anyway, because you can check all this stuff and make it right. But replacing a rooftop deck is very expensive. Access is terrible. It takes forever. There's a lot of detail work. Like, I don't recommend it. But if you need it, don't cheap out.
Yeah. Do your homework and make sure that you're investing in something that's going to last you a long time and not harm the life of your roof.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, Jim, thank you so much for answering our homeowner question in Seattle. For those of you listening, do your homework. And if you're in the Seattle area, make sure to look up RoofSmart. You can find more information about them on their directory on AskARoofer.com. And Jim, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you on the next episode.
If your roof needs answers, subscribe now to the Ask a Roofer podcast. We've got your questions covered, one episode at a time. Go to AskARoofer.com to submit your questions and learn more. Stay tuned and keep those questions coming.